Welcome, guys, to this week's edition of the British Electric Blues Show, fondly called the Sunday Show. Very nice to get some good comments from people referring to the Sunday Show, so I think that's going to stick as long as we keep the show on a Sunday. Makes sense. And you know, who said that the Sunday Show aren't innovators when it comes to social media? So if you're watching the rerun, and if anyone's actually in the chat, hang on, because we've got some exciting new segments coming on the show. So we look forward to presenting those to you and getting some feedback. But it's, as usual, it's my pleasure to introduce and welcome the co-hosts, Simon from the UK and Brad from Melbourne and myself from Hamilton, New Zealand.
Morning,
I
kids.
think we've pretty much got the world covered, haven't we?
That's us covering all parts, broadcasting to the world, giving ourselves some side. Let's go. Can I say I've been larking about with Johnny Bean, because you know Bruce Springsteen's appearing on Saturday Night Live last night for me. Yeah, you know that
okay.
He's appearing live. They're appearing live. Well, I'll just show you this because I sent it to Johnny. It just, when I saw it, I thought, blimey, it's Johnny. He's appearing on Saturday Night Live. This is the picture. I can see it. This is the picture of the Easter man, all masked up and everything. Like, see the bloke here. See, looks like just like Johnny Bean, doesn't it? A small bloke with a flat cap and glasses.
Small bloke with a flat cap. That sounds like Johnny Bean.
That's didn't realise you were appearing on with Bruce Springsteen on Saturday Night Live. You never said.
Let me just pay some bills here. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, if you're watching the replay, see that subscribe button there. That subscribe button is a big part of what we want to achieve with going forward on the show. Obviously, the co-hosts and I are putting together a lot of content. Thank you, Brad. Brad's pointing at that button. Thank you. But helping us with subscriptions and sharing our channel with your friends on social media, please, is a good one. I've got some stats back on the channel, and we got 126 subscribers this year. And we get a lot of hits.
We've got about 20. I see 28 in the last 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
We've gone from 300 to, I just noticed, it was 327.
Yeah.
Get in.
Yeah. So, we're very happy to get those, and it's always a pleasure. Of course, you can, if you want to make it a little bit easier for the channel in the meantime. Before we get to the 1,000, we do have a PayPal account set up, so it's easy. Don Kerr at extra.co.nz. PayPal us anything that you want. That's Winston Churchill. Yeah. We'll take anything. We'll take anything.
Even worse.
In fact, well, no, God save the Queen. But even this, if you guys go and busk and raise some money for the show and film yourselves, we'll play you live on the channel. So if you make 10p for the channel and you manage to film yourself, we'll play you. Okay, so that's a promise.
It's just another dangerous one, don't you think?
And check out, please, obviously, if you guys haven't, too, brad-cook.com. Check out Brad's channel. That'll take you to all his social media platforms. He's active on Instagram, so please follow his Instagram. Maybe Brad might want to throw his Instagram account in the chat, maybe. But, yeah, follow him. Brad's on there all the time, and he would appreciate anything. And if I haven't made this clear, and I'm pretty sure Brad might say this too. Every follow gets a follow back. Every sub gets a sub back. I've got to make that clear because I think I made a whinge and a whine a couple of weeks ago, guys, where I've subbed to a couple of channels and made a nice little message saying, "Where's the sub back, guys?" you know, you know, yeah. Be nice. Be nice to people and sub to their channel if they sub to yours. It helps. Anyway, so that's all the homework done. That's all the paperwork done, all the business done. Now it's down to the fun. Whew.
Fun. I hope so, yes. Oh, dear. So, is it me? Yes. This week we are discussing this album, Unplugged by Eric Clapton.
Hold on. That's it there.
That's
it.
Beautiful. Nice 92. There we are. So we'll be discussing that. I hope Arvin and Ellen in the chat. I hope they've done their homework and listened to it. So yeah, Eric Clapton Club. This is the opening episode of the third season of MTV's Unplugged. If you remember, they had several seasons where they got bands into studio with a live audience to play acoustically, rather than so they had McCartney, Don Henley, Stevie Ray Vaughan, the Allman Brothers, Elvis Costello, Sting, lots of people. The only person not to play acoustically, Bruce Springsteen, had plugged rather than unplugged. So off with his head for not following the format. So they convened in a small studio, Bray Studios in Windsor in England, and in a secret location with a small audience, hand-picked. Apparently they kind of people would turn up and they'd be allocated seats depending on their clothes and design and stuff like that. So so he played to a select audience, just ran through quite a lot of songs, and we'll get to them. So it won 6 Grammys, amazingly, and kind of put his career back on track a bit, because it was a big seller, and kind of, I think he did some other stuff, and off the back of this that went back to those blues things and some acoustic stuff, and influenced him going forward, which is pretty cool, I think.
Well, we're thankful, aren't we, Simon? Because this is the album that gave him the direction and the confidence to go out and record an album that we've discussed here recently, guys, haven't we? From the cradle. So
yeah.
It was on the back of the success of this album, and I'm sure as we discuss this album, he was a little bit hesitant himself, because he thought it was going to be, from what I've read, a niche market. He didn't think that anybody would be interested in this album, but just turned out to be, 12 million copies?
Something like that. Yeah.
It's been the most successful record to date.
Yeah,
cool.
amazing.
Can I be the one that asks the difficult question with my co-hosts, because I'm sure that it might be something that we've been thinking about, but it probably needs to be discussed early on before we get into the song rankings. And I mean it respectfully when I ask this question, because our show is always a respectful show, even though we try and have a bit of fun. But do you think the passing of Eric's son and the single, that's really identified with this album, gave it the appeal that probably it may not have received if it was just a released album without that tragedy?
Yeah, and the tracks that came from it.
Well, from my understanding, this album kind of saved him a little bit because he was obviously in a pretty dark spot after losing his son. You got to also remember that not long before his son died, like in August 1990, he lost his manager and two of his raiders, plus his good friend Stevie Ray Vaughan in a helicopter crash. And then in March 91, his 4-year-old son fell from a 53rd floor, window. So that, and he's had a lot of like death in his life, like around him. A lot of his people are his friends, family, all sorts of things that just continually had been surrounded, even to this day, a lot of people that he's been close with or whatever are passing away. But at this particular time, from what my understanding was, he used music saved him. He got back into writing, and that was the thing that saved him from going down that dark that he was familiar with from the past,
Yeah, like with so many artists, they use their art to heal themselves, make themselves better. And I agree, Brad. I think that's true. That what came out. I hesitate to say the word used. He used it. What came out of him was the reaction to that, and particularly with when we get to with Tears in Heaven, there's a which clearly, I think that it's you can write a song like Tears in Heaven, but the other side of it is how it strikes a chord with the general public. And I think that interestingly I think it's in there at the start of those things that where people kind of took these things on a bit more than they had in the past. New generations kind of in a sense like we do now. There's this kind of tremendous kind of public outpouring of emotion to people. People dying. I think in a way that certainly there wasn't in the 70s. Certainly we get around to sort of the 90s before that. I know it's later than this, but Princess Diana, in England, and there was a kind of this massive outpouring of public grief, that in a way that there hadn't been before. Not the same kind of, there'd be like, Winston Churchill died in, the early 60s. I remember seeing his funeral on the television, but wasn't the same kind of outpouring of public grief in the same way that Princess Diana evoked.
Yeah, I don't mean it morbidly
by
any stretch of the imagination, but I certainly think that gave that album, I think, the success that it rightly deserves, if that makes sense. And I just want to echo what Brad said. If music saved Eric Clapton so many times from tragedy and heartbreak and bad news over the years, well, Eric Clapton would be pretty happy to say, well, look, from the loss of his son, who was one of the closest things ever because he invested so much in the future of that relationship. So from that, we have, hold that album up, Simon. Hold your copies. So we have copies of this album. So. Yeah, I look forward to going through the songs with you guys. So, I think it's a question that we need to ask, because it's one that I get asked often when I tell people that I'm a Clapton nut. Yeah. So Simon, and Brad, before we quickly get on to the songs. So, do you remember do you guys remember buying the album? Do you remember how you bought the album? And any have you got any of those stories that you want to share with us?
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah.
Go on, Brad. Yeah, go on. It's fine.
I was around that time. I was like, it was the early 90s, like 91. I started playing guitar, so I was not interested in acoustic music at all at that particular time. And I was into Clapton because of his electric blues, and I don't think I really appreciated the album as much the sentiment behind obviously the loss of his son and things like that, and the success of it, I got into that a little bit. And as time went on, obviously I started to really enjoy the acoustic versions of like Layla and whatnot. But so for me, a new Eric Clapton album acoustically was not obviously something that I was looking forward to straight off the bat. But I honestly got right into it. Obviously, you know, I bought it because I loved Eric Clapton, and you know, over the years I've appreciated it a lot more. And I'm really glad that this was a choice that someone brought up, because I reconnected with the album again and I appreciate it even more. You know, so and that's the beauty of doing these things, I guess. But truth be told, I was an electric guitar guy, and you know, an acoustic record, the Unplugged thing, I was not really that fond of at first, but I remember seeing it and being amazed as well, like the actual footage and how good it was. And, you know, we'll bring this up in the songs, but how strong Eric Clapton's vocal is.
Yeah.
As a blues type singer, he's just got a gruff. But yeah, that was it for me. Simon, how was it for you?
Well, I mean, I bought it when it came out. Finally, I forgot. If you look on the front, there's the sticker. It says Rival Records, $10.99. Obviously, bought it in Rival Records in Bristol for $10.99. I mean, I remember when it came out, and you know, and being, because I have quite a lot of, I mean, because we've been doing the British blues stuff, but I've got albums by Mississippi John Hurt and things like that, you know. So I'm right keen on acoustic blues as a thing. And so when this came out and seeing the blues scene on it, I've absolutely got it. I mean, I got two or three of the MTV. I like the Unplugged sort of format. So I got the Paul McCartney one as well, which is really good. And,
I think you're right, Simon. I've got the Nirvana Unplugged, which I think's outstanding, and it's just wonderful. But I before we get into the songs, I just want to echo what you guys have said. When I got it because I was a Clapton nut, like my co-hosts. Didn't really appreciate it on the first half a dozen listens. I just didn't appreciate, because I was a bit like Brad. I was looking for that, come on, Cream stuff, you know, Marshall Stacks, baby, you know, crank it up, you know, Jimmy Page. But it wasn't until I saw the videos, and I think, Simon and Brad, this is the key with these Unplugged things. And the great thing about these albums is that you can listen to them, but if you watch the DVDs or the clips or the songs, it just gives it that perspective. And I remember going, holy shit, Eric Clapton's a pretty good acoustic guitar player.
Yeah.
And who's that other dude behind him? Andy Fairweather-Lowe. He's not bad too.
Yeah. It's a yeah. Well, we'll get to that, but it's absolutely, you know, really good, class musicians, and put on a class show, really, which is what you'd expect. You know, Eric sober, organised, and sort of getting his mojo back, really, in a different kind of way to, as you say, just getting the Marshall Stacks out and the and the 335. We wish, but
if he's lurking, because I know he lurks. I know he lurks in the chat. There's a lurker who's a very good friend of the channel. In fact, he's one of the original co-hosts. And
John Smith.
If he's lurking, him and I just about had a fist fight one day about this album, because he said it was horrible. Eric Clapton looks like a university professor there with his glasses and his tweed suit, and he's sitting there like that, and I'm going, mate, I'm a Clapton nut. You can't talk like that in front of a Clapton nut. I'll kick your ass.
That would have been funny. So anyway, our friend in Hamilton, New Zealand, Not impressed, eh? Black mark. Write it down.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I think
But
it's
yeah.
That is funny. Yeah, it's funny. So yes, off. So he's off the Christmas list for sure. But anyway, no, that's fine. I mean, you can see, as you said, you can see that that people want Eric to do particular things, don't they? But of course, he went back and did that. He started doing the 24 nights at the Albert Hall and things like that, didn't he? Which I'm hopefully more than fulfilled that side of what he does. Really, I know he wasn't taking out the Marshalls, but nevertheless, full electric band doing all that stuff. 24 nights of it at the Albert. I don't know when they were the Albert Hall gigs, but so that's the other side of it, really, isn't it? It's kind of the rediscovery of his catalogue and all of that.
First song, Simon.
And you can buy tickets for 2021. Eric Clapton at the I think. Well done.
Hey, Vintage.
Anyway. Mine got stuck. Oh well. Yes, the first one. Just a little bit about Eric said, and in an interview, he said when he first started playing, he played a lot of fingerstyle, but he could never really find the right combination of flat pick, finger picks, or thumb picks. So really, the easiest way to learn to play is fingerstyle. And he said he thought he got a really nice tone out of it that way, and a sound to be gained from the finger actually touching the string. And he said he wouldn't mind trying it out on electric. I don't know whether he has particularly, but yes. So one of the outgrowths from Unplugged was Eric did begin to play fingerstyle on the electric guitar, apparently. So I don't know. There's something to look out for. But certainly that fingerstyle you'll notice going through it is what he does. Gives it a particularly kind of delicate touch, I think, and not too heavy. And he certainly continued that. So the first song is we're going to go for Signy, Sign. Signy, I'll go for Signy, and which is basically it's an intro instrumental track. Just I think really it's a setting the mood for what's to come. Getting the audience into it and things. And do you notice at the beginning, right at the beginning, he nearly plays the opening to Tears in Heaven. He just started. No. I will be spoiling it, and he kind of backs away from it, which is amusing.
And Layla.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he does. Yeah. There's a bit of quoting going on, but that's before he starts. But it's a really nice kind of relaxed Spanish tinged samba instrumental, and a really nice interplay between Andy Fairweather and Eric, and and I think that's going to be one of the features of the album, is that interplay between Andy Fairweather and Eric. Because as you mentioned, Andrew, I think Andy Fairweather does a fantastic job on this record. Hats off to him for giving all sorts of stuff to around Eric that is all good and nothing bad. So really good, really nice instrumental opening. I think set the mood and get things going. And it's a quite slight, but that's what it's supposed to be. I'd probably only give it a 7, but I wouldn't skip it. But I wouldn't consider it the meat in the sandwich by a distance. But so my take would be a 7, not skip, because I think it does its job. It does a job in that position in the album. And good.
Brad, you're second, and then I'm third, Brad, this time.
Well, for me, I touched on listening to this album again and hearing it in a completely different light again, which is great. I appreciate it a lot more. So listening to this opening track, for me, it's a beautiful Clapton song. It's a great opener for the CD. Touching on what Simon said, it opens up, it sets the mood for what's to come, I guess. I love the acoustic playing. The interplay between the two, Andy and Eric, is just fantastic. The melodies in the song are really joyous, which I really enjoyed that. And I listened to it this morning before I went to work. And, it's a Sunday morning here, and I listened to it and I thought, what a happy Sunday morning vibe song. It was very uplifting, made me feel really good, and I give it 10 out of 10 for that reason. I did rate it 8 out of 10 initially, but after today, I thought, no, I'm going to rate it 10 because it really is highlight. It's a great way to open the set. And, I mean, Eric Clapton Unplugged, you don't know what to expect, and that was a really good setup. So, for me, never a skip and a 10.
And you're influenced by the sunshine and the good vibe. Yeah. No, I'll go with that. That's fine. Yeah. Can we just we can answer? Jesus Rapes Me says, were there any other ones before this? Yeah, this is season 3 opener, and there were 2 other seasons with lots of people like Squeeze and Elton John and Aerosmith and all sorts of Poison, Joe Satriani, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
But this is the only one though that people talk about.
Well, yes, and the Nirvana one, but let's not talk about that. So but there were lots. The Nirvana
one is outstanding.
Yeah.
Even Lenny Kravitz did a version, and Pearl Jam. You know, everyone was doing it.
Yeah. Bandwagon.
Look, I agree with you guys. I think the tone is wonderful. You know, the nylon string guitar. So if you've been drenching your ears for the last 10 years in Cream and Journeyman, you know, and you've been drenching your ears in the 24 Nights CD, getting this CD and putting this on and getting this complete kind of different vibe that was contemporary at the time was a shock for a lot of people. You know, I know that there were a lot of acoustic songs on his previous albums, you know, a lot of the 70s albums, there's a lot of acoustic songs on there, but for a new up-to-date 1993 or 92, Simon, when this album came out, please?
Yeah, 92.
92, yeah. Complete shock. I loved the song after listening to it half a dozen times. The acoustic guitar, that nylon thing that he's got going with that beautiful melody that Brad mentioned sets the mood well. Interesting too, isn't it, guys? You know, that this was a jaunty, happy song written after the death of Connor. So it's you know, from a songwriter's perspective, he's probably thinking about the smile on his son's face or something that they did, and this song is triggering that memory, or the song is in response to that memory, because, you know, this is one of the great things that we love about the show, don't we? We forget sometimes that these guys and girls that we talk about are songwriters, and they're bearing their souls. So it's a 9.5 out of 10 for me, and it's never a skip.
Oh, good. Yes. No, I agree. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a good point as well. So I think we move on to getting into Before You Accuse Me, which is obviously a Bo Diddley song. That's McDaniel. And I think he recorded it on Journeyman. Was it John Journeyman? I think it was on Journeyman.
Yep.
So it's just Eric and Andy Fairweather-Low. And I love the interview. So, straight away the crowd are clapping along. So they're obviously on side with this as a clap along, which is really cool. And I love that. Eric
and the English people are clapping in time too, Simon. Have you noticed that?
English people, one, they are clapping. 2, they're clapping in time. It's Took us a while to get there. We've had 30 years of training for that. 35 years of training to get, but we get there eventually. We're reserved a lot. But, so I think that it's. I love the fact Eric's doing his. You can hear Eric's foot tapping clearly. To setting the tempo of how it's going, which is really cool. So in John Lee Hooker style, you've got banging your foot on the floor, which I think is a really good. So really, I think it sets off at a jaunty gait, and. Brad, as you alluded to earlier, I think that the thing you notice is he's in fine voice, Eric. He's there's a lot in the voice, I think, in this, and this is the first sort of shot at it, and that I think is one of the really important things about this album. Is he really gets, you feel like he's really inhabiting his singing and being comfortable, even just an acoustic setting. Just sing, come on, Eric, you can sing. Get on with it. It's that kind of thing. Like, I don't know, but now we're on it. So and I think there's a lovely, cool solo with some interplay with Andy Fairweather the Low. Who is I think the unsung hero of this record in many ways by his interplay with that and things. Oh right. No,
What?
Jesus Racing, but not by a distance. He didn't. He was on. He started season 3, Clapton. So there were 2 other seasons before that. Lots of people have done it. So anyway, good morning, and good morning to Adam Crofts. Is a name I don't remember. So morning to you both, you guys. Thanks for joining.
Brad's friend.
Is it Brad's friend? Cool. Good morning, Brad's friend. So
Cheers, Adam.
for me, a 9, never a skip. I think it's great opening, and I think it's that interestingly, still pretty much just the 2 guitars. There's a bit of subdued percussion and bass on the first track, and not really anything on this except the 2 of them doing it. And I think that clearly that's one of the decisions, is when does the band come in, kind of thing. So not yet is the answer to that, but yes, for me, 9 out of 10 and never a skip.
Well, before you accuse me, notably a Bo Diddley song, this one. So doing it in this fashion as opposed to the Journeyman CD, felt that maybe it transposed pretty well this way. This song for me has always been a bit of a staple in his live set electrically, so it was good to hear him do it acoustically. I want to highlight that he's just got a great, strong vocal. He just drives it with his voice. He comes out very proud. He's just a blues singer. He does what he's got to do. He's really strong. The acoustic shuffle, I wanted to, mention obviously the foot tapping. I really like that it's the foot tap. It keeps them in time. That's really cool. Andy Fairweather Low, outstanding. Clapton's lead breaks, fantastic. In context, the second solo in this one is my favourite one on this track, because his first solo is great, but the second one's really cool for an acoustic solo. I gave it 10 out of 10, and I would never skip it.
Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 for me too, and it's a great song, to pick up an acoustic guitar and play along to, if you're a seasoned guitar player or a beginning acoustic blues guitar player. That's the great thing about this album. Love the solo. The solo is fantastic, short, sharp solo. But again, I've got to agree with my co-hosts. I think if you had any doubts about where Eric was going with his vocals, it certainly sent the benchmark. His vocals were beautiful. And I can't remember this, guys, but I think he was still smoking then. He gave up smoking about 94, 95, so he was still smoking, clearly not drinking, but yeah, not bad. Never a skip.
No. That's interesting. Yeah. I've forgotten. Yes. Yeah. I've forgotten when he didn't smoke. So it doesn't seem to have affected his voice, has it? I mean, it's seemed to have
in his biography, he talks about how he didn't get that. His voice was fragile. When he gave up smoking, so he had to look after it, and I think that's one of the great things, that these artists have to do, because Simon, when was the last time you sung? Besides dropping people off or picking people up, or driving down to the supermarket, or in the shower, because we all sing daily. I'm sure we do. We all sing, but these guys are singing for what, an hour and a half. An hour, 2 hours, 4 nights, 5 nights a week. That's a lot of work, eh?
Well, singing. Yeah, I haven't sung for 7 months, 6 months, 7 months.
Well, and when you do gig, when you go back to singing, I bet you'll be swallowing those pints back, Simon.
Left many times.
Do you know what? I don't drink. Well, I don't drink gigging for two reasons. One is mainly I've driven there, so that stops that. And so in a band, when you get in a band, it's one of the problems, isn't it? The first thing is you start driving to all the gigs, so then you can't drink, and clearly. And I also have so little talent that having a few beers beforehand just would wreck anything that might actually happen. And I've decided a long time ago that drinking and playing for me, because I have to concentrate, to get that doesn't work for me. So no, I don't really drink at all at gigs. I might have a pint afterwards, but I don't really. I drink water and stuff when I'm playing, so I'm not good enough to. I mean, I couldn't do what Eric did in the 70s, arriving on stage with glasses of wine and stuff. I wouldn't know which end of the guitar to blow and hold.
What about you, Brad? What about you? Were you a solid drinker when you were gigging, when you were touring, or is this something that you want to share?
Out there, but I have done some shows a long time ago where I had drunk excessively. I actually thought I was playing amazingly and heard stuff back and not as good as I thought. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. It's weird, that, isn't it? Whereas I've never done that, but I can remember having maybe, I don't know, once early on having like only sort of 2 or 3 beers and feeling like it was all over the bloody place, I feel like I was really sloppy and kind of not on it and not, So I knocked and I'm sure that I'm sure nobody would have noticed that much, but I seriously noticed, and that was only after having maybe 2 or 3 beers, not not a stack. But I don't have talent for that.
How about you?
I can't play hammered. I can't play hammered at all. It's just it hasn't been a thing that I've done. I've done any hammering I've done was after.
Yeah. I don't drink anymore. Like I don't drink, but maybe we should do like something fun over Christmas. We'll all get drunk, go live, and just start playing and see what it sounds like.
The sound of the cars crashing.
Later.
I don't know. One of the things you see two major things. One is you drive to all the gigs, so you don't drink, so you stop. You go out, and of course, having children is the other great drink stopper, because most of you have one hangover when you've had kids, and then you're lying there going the next day, and they go, "Dad, make my breakfast." Oh God, this isn't going to work, is it? So that tends to curtail your wall polling activities, and so as I have 3 children, it's it, and then you end up by not doing it, and so. I was saying to Karen last night, my wife, and we were having dinner, and I had a second bottle of beer this week, and believe you me, that is pushing the boat out for me. I can't remember the last time I had 2 beers in a week. I said to Karen, better watch myself. So no, I'm, so going back, I think I'm, obviously sober, on it, the voice is holding up, and, we are pleased.
Awesome.
So anyway, yes. So track 3, Hey Hey, by Big Bill Broonzy. Eric said about this that it's a semi-instrumental. It was probably one of the first Blue albums he ever heard. It was a piece he used to play in pubs when he was very young. But he never felt as though he mastered it. So which is why they doing it this time with 2 guitars. So I think there's a certain amount of this happens a couple of times in this, that going back to Eric's earlier history, when he was young and starting to play, and what he did round when he was in his teens, playing, first started off, what they played. I think there's a certain amount of bringing those back and going, oh, maybe I'll play that. But reminding him of a time when he was a kid doing it. So again, just 2 guitars, no band on it. nice intricate opening between the two of them, interweaving of the guitars, and played with lots of energy and verve, gusto. And Eric singing in a really nice, rich baritone voice. Not pushing it, but sounding really good. And lots of rapturous applause to sort of to greet the the returning blues messiah. So again, I give this a 9. I think this is really great. I think it's got a really good feel to it, good vibe, and that playing between the two of them, Andy Featherlow and Eric, really good. Again, yeah, it's one of those. It's got jaunty, kind of a foot tapping. And I played it. Playing it in the car this week, and it's it's kind of subtle. It kind of you think, well, it's going to be because it's going to be a bit all the same, and actually, it's not. There's lots of nuance, and it's got a really good vibe to it. In front of that intimate live audience. And I think it's fun. A lot of it is fun. Foot tapping and so giving it a 9 and cracking on and never a skip.
Well, for me, this one, I always put myself in the shoes of the artist while they're performing this. I try to imagine what it would be like, and I sit there and I'm imagining how nerve-wracking it would be and how naked and exposed you feel with just 2 guitars and a vocal. So for this one, I really thought, great dual guitars. They work so well together, the interplay. Guys, they're all over it. Highlights how well they played together, great vocal, very gruff and smoky. I love Eric's voice. I've always said that he's been, one of his biggest influences is Freddie King, and he always reminiscent of that sort of voice to me, in a sense. He's got his own vocal and voice. But yeah, this one in particular, I really liked his gruffy, smoky sort of voice. I gave it a 9 out of 10, and I wouldn't skip it ever. But it's a great song, great, and the guitar playing on it is the highlight, really. This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. A deceptively difficult song. Because I remember, getting the tabs, trying to play it over the years, So that first part where it starts off, din, 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 and then it's got that shuffle going on, a lot of flicks off and pull-offs, it's, and you're singing it too. And, it's not an easy song, so, to play. Love the guitaring. I've got to take my hat off to the producer, Russ Tuttleman. I think the production that he did on this album, I think one of the criticisms that people have made over the years, Simon and Brad, on these Unplugged albums is, the producing, the production, and the way that the songs or the albums or the music was recorded wasn't very good. I think they got it spot on, and probably rightly so, because it was Eric Clapton. They were going to, concentrate and give it, what it deserved. Never a skip, and give it a go. Go and try and do that intro riff, and see how good you are. It's not easy.
No, and you're right, and that playing it and singing it as well is not easy either. It's easy to think, isn't it, until you start these things, that how easy that, but actually you're right, to have to concentrate and obviously finger picking and your finger, and then you're doing the singing over the top is some talent in there, of course. Talk about Eric Clapton, but the talent, definitely. I've certainly tried that, and it is difficult.
It's a tough one. I mean, the whole sitting there with an acoustic singing and tapping your foot, to me, it's very very difficult to do. I mean, like, they did it so well. And also, I know Eric had done acoustic stuff in the past and that, but recording and playing live acoustically are two different things. So yeah, recording an acoustic guitar, you've got to go back, refix things. You can go back and redo a second take, third take. I know in the recording of this, they actually did 1 or 2 takes of a certain song. For the program to get it right. But pretty ballsy move, to put it bluntly, the way they've been this in the early part of the show. They weren't even warmed up. They were warmed up, obviously, but to come out 3 songs in and you're doing that, it's like, wow, these guys are on top of their game. So yeah,
completely, yeah. And I think it's a good point that playing acoustic guitar is a lot more exposing than playing electric, isn't it? Electric with amps and drummers and all sorts of things. It's a different kind of you can. It's a lot less exposing, isn't it, than sitting down with an acoustic guitar, you and one other guitar, right, and then entertain a crowd.
The way they're playing, it's not like they're just sitting there with an acoustic strumming away a few open chords. They're actually playing finger picking, playing blues licks, and singing over the top with a shuffle, tapping it. Pretty exposed way of doing things, really. I couldn't think of a more scary thing to do. I mean, throw an electric guitar in my hands and throw me out on stage singing. Throw me up there with an acoustic guitar and I start to sweat. And I've done it a few times and I freak out because it's quite difficult.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing I said, clearly worked out, clearly, rehearsed and kind of, and kind of organised. This is not jamming, is it? This is not, obviously use those skills, but this is clearly not jamming. This is clearly having to play set pieces with 2 guitar players, because you guys are wandering off. Poor old Andy Fair alone. Like, where's he going? Kind of thing. But so I agree. Mark of a good song. Can you sit down with an acoustic guitar and just and play it and it means something? And so I agree. I think I think it's a really good track, and I enjoy it whenever I hear it. And but I think yes, that interesting about playing acoustic guitar. Worth saying. Should we say good morning to Ken Cook? Is he a relative, Brad? Got your family in. Well done. See, my family were in bed.
That's his dad.
Is it a dad?
All from the family.
Yeah. That's cool. That's it's what? Yes, and you see my family not getting up at all. They're all asleep.
Just hold on, guys. I think this is time for hold on, all you cats in the chat. Hold on.
Oh, look out! What's happening?
Hold on.
Should we do a drum roll?
Yeah, we've got a new. This is part 1 of the new segments for the Sunday show.
Oh.
So hold on.
Hold back the crowds.
World premiere.
Now it's time for Brad's Tech and Tone Tips.
Isn't that cool? Look, just hold those comments because we just got to play it again. Hold on, everybody. If you didn't catch it, grab your Cokes. This is a new segment for the show.
Now it's time for Brad's Tech and Tone Tips.
All right.
All right.
Magnificent.
Before we even get started, I'm gonna mention something. Andrew held a gun to my head to do that.
So it should have gone bang, really, should it, rather than a flame?
I could feel the pressure in that heat. So I had to do it. So we just thought it would be a fun thing to do. So I'll take it up to the team and I'll do it. So today we're going to start with the basics. you know, this is probably the most important thing for any guitarist at any level. Once you're out performing, you're going to come unstuck. You need a kit. So in my kit,
You sure that's big enough? Is that the toolbox from the garage, or is that the guitar kit? Oh, okay.
Sandwiches.
All right. So, foremost, spare guitar strings. Okay. You always got to have them. And I have two separate types. I have full sets and I have rated sets. So when you break a single string on stage, you could. So I've got spares there and I've got full sets there. So that's that.
Brad, when was the last time you broke a string?
It's been a while. The last recording section I did, I broke a string during one of the little parts of a song, and I could never do it again. So yeah, it was a bit of a. But I haven't broken a string for a little bit. No.
I'm interested because I cannot remember when I first started playing electric guitar. I broke quite a lot of strings. Obviously, being quite heavy-handed, I broke a lot. But I cannot remember the last time that I broke a string. Not me. I play my guitars a lot. I thrash through them, kind of thing, and bear no regard for them at all much. But I can't remember the last time I changed a string. Yeah, string winder.
String winder takes all the pain out of winding string. Okay, it's not a pain.
Or locking tuners, bro.
It's not a pain toy. It's a string winder. Okay, and you need a string cover. Alright. And this is a really good one because it's spring loaded, so it keeps coming back.
They bounce back.
This is a really bad old one, but it's the one I've got.
Okay, I'll quickly go a couple more things and I'll hold everyone up. Tape.
Yeah.
You gotta have like gaffer tape or tape in your thing. The last thing that I'll go over today, spare guitar strap, because it's always that time you don't have one. Something's gonna break. You still gotta get through the gig. I've got and if you don't use power sources for your pedals, they're batteries.
Some batteries.
That's it for today.
Awesome. World premiere of Brad's Tech and Tone Tips. You've seen it here first on the British Electric Blues Show on the Sunday show. Brad, you can copyright that and take that on any of your social media platforms. Just link back to the show, please. I see big things for this segment. Hey Terry, awesome.
Yes.
Okay, right.
Hey Terry, good morning. Moderation from the stars and lots of other very important YouTube channels. But Terry, you can sit back and relax and just enjoy us mucking about. And welcome. So, yeah, I was just comparing. Bro, I was comparing your organised and rather. I've got a case. I've got one of those metal cases stuff, and it weighs about 25 pounds because it's got every eventuality coming. It's got like a spare. I use a kind of an old Boss GT3 when I'm viewing. So it's got a spare power supply for that. I've got a dual pedal. If that goes down, I've got the pedal for the amp, so I can switch between two channels and do that. So yeah, I've got loads of spare cables, obviously plectrum strings, and it weighs. It's a two-handed job to carry it around. Put it on a trolley is a better idea.
The important thing with you just learn as you go anyway, but if I can pass it on to people, then great. The other thing I forgot to mention is guitar picks. Instead of having them floating around in your pockets and everything, have a spot for them put. So I've got a little canister and it's full of them and earplugs.
Yeah, hold on, folks. I've got some interesting thoughts about where Brad might be taking this segment of the show. But it could be very, very funny. But I'm sure, you know, there'll be some serious advice there too. So yeah, we look forward to those segments coming up in future shows. Thank you very much, Brad. Appreciate that.
Cool.
But back to the track ratings and listings. Thank you, my friend.
And apologies that we laughed for the flaming thumb. It's
Andrew did that.
that's fun. That's really good. Ah dear. So track 4, one of the major tracks on this album, I would say. Tears in Heaven. Oh dear. What's happening now? Sorry, I'm moving my hands about on my computer and it's having a head fit. That's fine. So come on. So obviously Tears in Heaven, written in honor of his son Connor, who sadly died falling out of a New York tower block window. Only sadly. Written with Will Jennings from the Crusaders. I don't know if the name Will Jennings means much to people. I certainly came across him because he'd done some stuff, I think, on Midnight Believer with the B.B. King. He'd written some songs on there. Member of the Crusaders. But also wrote stuff with Steve Winwood, Ark of a Diver. I don't know if you know those albums. Bill Withers. I mean, and obviously B.B. King. But lots of people he'd written songs for. So good good choice to go and get somebody to help you. Somebody's a real songsmith and do it. So yeah, heartrending song, of course. You know, heartfelt singing. You know, beautiful opening chords and things. And you know, I think that this is where the band come in, kind of, you know, subtly. So there's you know, again, we'll say this all the way through. You know, there's always a word for each album we seem to be doing. You know, and sort of meshing seems to be the word for this album, with Andy Featherlow, you know, doing that, wrapping his guitar around Eric's and stuff, which I think is, you know, beautifully done, and nice restrained bass and percussion coming in. You know, Chuck Leavell giving it some harmonium because it gives some bottom end as well with the bass kind of thing, which is and lovely counterpoint at the end. He does some counterpoint stuff at the end, which I thought was really lovely as well. So I'm, you know, and nice gospel feel backing vocals. You know, first time they're in on the album, track 4 and things, and some lovely bass playing from Nathan East as well. So I mean, I think it's, you know, it's a beautiful song. It doesn't tip into maudlin, doesn't tip into sentimental. You know, it's you know, clearly heartfelt, but keeping well on the side of, you know, doesn't disappear into those, for me, doesn't disappear into those territories, you know, at all. And I think it's a 10 for me, and I would never skip it. I think it's, you know, and clearly a really important album, a really important song for Eric. You know, really important, you know, and obviously it was a huge hit on the back of it, because, you know, you can't fake the genuine, can you? You know, this is you know, and I think it's worth saying it's not Eric playing a character, or, you know, putting him aside. This is true Eric. You know, he's bearing his soul, and which he's particularly good at, I would say. I think, you know, that's what he does, one of his things. But I think it's important to say, you know, that that you are getting the true feeling of Eric here, you know, what he felt, and through all of that. And I think that emotion comes through, and I think it's, you know, but I think it's beautifully managed. You know, it doesn't, as I said, it doesn't slip into the maudlin or the sentimental, or the, you know, gone too long. It's just, you know, a song about a particular event in his life, and, you know, I'm fine with that. I think, you know, write about the things, and especially, as we discussed earlier, if they're healing things, you know, clearly this was a big healing song for him to, you know, came out. And so, yeah, I'm giving it a 10, and I'm not skipping. And I think it's one of his landmark songs, really. You know, you know, it's up there with Layla, you know, on where he was, and you know, and what it's about and things. So yeah, that's me.
Well, for me, Tears in Heaven, yeah, it's a beautifully written and highly emotional song. filled with beautiful, heartfelt lyrics. You can feel the pain of his loss for his son, but he's not making it too personal. Vocals are beautiful. BVs are fitting, like they're just perfect. Nathan East on the bass and the percussion. Even listening to it today, like the middle 8 section or the bridge section, it gives me goosebumps. You can imagine, and I have to say, I give credit to Eric to be able to perform this song live. This is not long after his son passed away. So, and I think, is this the first time he performed the song live? So to me,
Probably.
the sentiment there, it's not too personal. Andy Fairweather Low is outstanding in this song as well. The little guitar interlude is beautiful. I think this song has become an anthem of some sort for people that have lost loved ones as well. So, that sadly passed away. I gave it a 10 out of 10, and clearly is probably, I think Eric actually stopped playing this song around 2004 because he got to the next phase of his life. I think he addressed that at some point, saying he didn't feel the need to play it anymore. But I think this is one of his most successful songs of all time, from what I read anyway. So 10 out of 10 for me, and they're a skip.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 for me too, guys. Not an easy song to play. The chords, he's got some Beatle chords going on there. So if you guys haven't had a look at the tabs, it's not an easy song. The intricacies of the songwriter coming out and the chord structure just, goes to show the depth that Clapton has, along with the songwriter that Simon, mentioned helped him with the lyrics. So, 10 out of 10. I'm glad Brad mentioned that it's a song that people play when they've lost loved ones. For me, I remember when James Bolger lost his life, and if you guys don't know who James Bolger is, he's a young Liverpool lad who was murdered not long after this album was released, and they played this song at his funeral, and I remember crying watching that on the news because it was a sad story, but also the song just reflected that that occasion. 91's an interesting year for me because, March 91's the year that we found out that Connor passed away. And like most of us, we were kind of thinking, wow, because it wasn't that long ago, what a tragedy, the guy fell out. And I remember trying to get information on it, and, the maid left the window open, and the boy went playing and he fell out. Just, I just take my hat off to Eric Clapton. And in his biography, he talks about the fact that every time he plays that song, he thinks of his son. He never, ever plays that song. He's written other songs for other people, and he admits that I probably don't think about those people when I sing other songs. But every time I play this song, I think about my son. Rest in peace, Connor. And top marks, Eric Clapton. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, probably his most overtly personal song, really, isn't it? That that in a way that the others weren't, and that connection with the child is, is unlike anything else, isn't it? Really, certainly unlike the sort of unrequited love of Layla or something like that. So I think it was good point, Andrew. Really good. So, moving on to Lonely Stranger, which is written in the summer of 91 with Tears of Heaven. So kind of, again, another kind of autobiographical song, I feel. I was born with a raging thirst, a hunger to be free, but I've learned through the years, don't encourage me. That must be, clearly that he's talking about himself, and that, that's what I do. That's what I feel about that as a song. Great lines, by the way. So well done. You know, again, in the tradition of Eric kind of bearing his soul, which he, you know, and I'm, you know, I think it's one of the interesting things about him. Hey, Kak, how you doing? I think it's one of the things about Eric is that he, you know, he's, you know, since his sobriety, he's taken on his kind of, you ask him a question, you will get an honest answer, won't you? You know, about anything, about his addictions, about his life, you know, you will get an honest, straightforward answer in a way that I think that a lot of other people don't. You know, he's obviously clearly decided that, you know, you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you the truthful answer from my point of view, you know, what I feel about it. Which I think is, you know, unlike, you know, with a lot less kind of, you know, kind of smoke and mirrors and stuff that a lot of other rock stars would bring to it. You know, glossing over, you know, saying, you know, he's been really honest about his mistakes and about, you know, the stuff he did in the past and kind of, you know, tried to make amends for some of those and, you know, do things which I think is really cool. I think that you know, this track is in that sort of line. So we've got Andy Fowler on mandolin, really nice mandolin playing from him, and nice piano as well, and that piano mandolin interplay I think carries on is really good. And I really like the piano coloration of the song as well, and the call and response vocals at the end that they do at the end between him and the backing vocalists. So yeah, for me, a 9 out of 10, never a pass. You know, part into one of the key parts of the album. I think for me, again, another really personal song.
Yeah, I agree with you, Simon. I really love the intro, and then it starts with the song. I love the way he does that. And the piano in this song really sets the mood. The feel of the song is sad. I mean, you can obviously, you know, relate in some way. I know we've all been through losing loved ones or whatever it may be, and I guess being a loner, even when people are present in your life, that sort of it has that it resonates that sort of feel for me. His falsetto singing in the chorus is really unique for Eric, but he does that brilliantly. The BVs are spooky. It's a very, obviously listening to the lyrics, it's a very deep personal song, and I love that in the song myself. You know, you can sort of put it in context. You know, Eric's had a really troubled life and he's had a lot of loss, and he maybe always felt alone. So maybe that was what he was getting at in this song, but it obviously transpires that way to me. And I gave it a 9 out of 10. And let's give it.
Yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. It's never a skip. Love the lyrics, and I'm glad that Simon mentioned it, because, you know, this autobiography that he has about, you know, parts of his life. You know, we did the Layla show, didn't we, guys, a couple of weeks ago, and there's a shitload of songs in there that are autobiographical from a point in his life. Smart music. Again, not an easy song to play, but hold on, guitar players, because there are some good songs, easier songs later on in the album. You know that you get some three cool blues songs coming up, but never a skip. Certainly, it's side B, side 2, isn't it, Simon? Of Tears in Heaven, isn't it? You know,
that's right. Yeah,
it's certainly, part 2.
Yes, it's about him and about, you know, and the other one's about, so it's the both sides of it. Absolutely, yeah. You know, I also think it's quite bold of him to go into this sort of thing. I think it would have been quite easy for him to go in and do a kind of greatest hits thing. Yeah. Like, clearly, this is not a greatest hits package. You know, this is not, you know, Tears in Heaven was a hit from it, but it wasn't a hit before. And obviously, when he decided to do these, you know, new songs and things, you know, you've got to figure out where they fit and how they fit. And, you know, with what you're doing now, where you are now in your life. So I think it's, it's quite a bold move to put these very personal songs on and do them really, really beautifully, and the audience respond accordingly, kind of thing, don't they?
I think that's why we love these guys, because they are exactly the same as us. We love music. We know what music means for us individually and how it saved us from dark moments and dark periods. And, we can associate moods and experiences and memories with music. And so if we're doing that, if Andrew's doing that and Simon and Brad's doing that, well, clearly Eric Clapton is doing that too, but he's doing that through selling that album to 24 million people. Simon might do that when, on a gig on a Sunday night. You get 150 people to your gig, Simon. Now is it 150?
Oh,
200?
sometimes less.
but
listen,
yeah.
Any musician I've played to a place that only had the staff in it. I remember us doing a gig once, only had the staff. Nobody came in at all. We still played though. Still gave it some, because you've got to, But even the staff. I don't know, Brad, if you ever played to nobody. Have you ever played to nobody? I must have done.
Yeah, there's limited people, if any at all. But I think the professional side comes in, and you realise you've got to give the same performance whether there's one person in the crowd or 500 or more. You've got to do this, because at the end of the day, that's what people are coming to see you for, and it's not their fault that maybe only 5 people turn up. So.
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, but now I do a kind of duo thing with my friend Dave, and it's much more intimate. So, but you get we play in small pubs and stuff like that, but you get 50 people in it. Yeah, the object of the exercise is not to drive them away.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it's never a skip.
Never a skip, and and as I say, for me, one of the centre points of that, his experience, recent experience, and pleased that he felt able to put these things on an album, like this, and because as we said, playing them acoustically is quite, live is quite exposing. One would suggest, if you've written a song in the last couple of years about the death of your son, and you're going to go out and play it in front of people, I guess it's still quite raw, and you've got to hold it together and go from the beginning to the end, haven't you? And not, give it an emotion, give it a sense of, that you feel it, but not without it spilling over, because the last thing anyone wants is, Eric, on his knees in the middle of the stage kind of thing. So, and I think that's, that's quite a difficult thing to do, balance to strike, whilst doing these, new raw songs. So, absolutely. I think this is really good. Anyway, song number 6, which is Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out, which is an old song. Eric said that he learned to play it around the pubs when he was 15 or 16. So it goes back to his kind of teenage years. It's part of his early repertoire. He used to play it unaccompanied. It was one of the songs he felt he could sing because it was a melodramatic song. But and of course they did a version of it on Derek and the Dominoes as well. But this is the way that he used to do it originally, with an acoustic guitar. So it's got a kind of barrel house piano, and it's got a good, obviously a tune about the fall and rise of a man. I don't know how if he thought that was some sort of element of an autobiography in there, things that he would feel about it, going back to it. Again, strong singing and a great gospel-y, gospel backing that the backing singers do, and really great guitar solo, and then piano, like the piano solo as well. And again, call and response vocals at the end, and it's got a really good swing to it. that I think that I'm all for the swing. So yeah, for me, a 9, and I would never skip it. Again, I think the material on this record is really well chosen, and yeah, really good. I love it when it comes on. It's one of those things, you kind of you play this album, you play the next song, and you go, that's really good. I really like this one. I really like that one too. So yeah, that's my thing about it. It's
Well, for me, I mean, I've always liked this song. Great acoustic intro with the foot tap. I think that just puts a little bit of humanised effort into the performance, like a few of the early songs. I love the ascending piano line to come in. That really moved the song for me. The bass and percussion, they're really strong. Vocals are strong. I love the chorus and the irony of success and failure in the lyrical content. Obviously, it's not his song, but he owns it, So when you get back on your feet again, everyone wants to be a long lost friend, So it's like, I love that line. Obviously the lyrical content is brilliant to me. Guitar solo, and I put here the highlight for me is the guitar solo, and then the piano solo, how the piano comes to the guitar solo. It's just awesome. And I gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah. Chuck the bell.
I've given it a 9 out of 10, and if you guys remember watching the DVD, so he picks up his steel string guitar when he's playing this, so he's not playing, the nylon guitar that he'd been playing the last couple of songs. Great backing vocals from Katie Kassoon and Tessa Niles, who were his background singers for a long time. Incidentally, and we always talk about biographies on this show, if you guys haven't picked up, or if you can get a cheap copy of Tessa Niles' biography, she gives some insights into working behind Eric Clapton, being a backing singer behind him for a few years, and say some really nice and interesting things that we should probably do a show on later on some of these biographies. Easy song to play along to. So that's good. It's a good song, that we've probably all played along to. But I like the fact that it harks back to that early period on the Layla album, and we'll get to talk about that more obviously on this album. But never skip.
No. It's good, and we talk a lot on here about programming and stuff, and I think that programming this album is important. That I think it really showcases the tracks in a really good way and stuff, so that they have a proper place and things. Anyway, now we get to the the thing. Track 7 is Layla, of course. And the most obvious thing is obviously a classic reworking of a classic tune. Eric says the thing, see if you can spot this one, which I like, and before he starts and stuff. And he says that Layla sort of mystified him. He'd done it the same way all these years and never really considered trying to revamp it. But lots of artists do revamp. Bob Dylan, for instance, is famous for revamping his songs when he plays them, different keys, different lyrics, different everything, and he thought this was another great opportunity to just take it on a different path and make it into a shuffle. So for a start, making it acoustic denied all the riffs, which would have sounded weak on an acoustic guitar, so you're not going to play them. It just seemed to become jazzier somehow, and of course he's singing it a whole octave down, which gives it a nice atmosphere. So that's his thoughts about it, and I think that got a really nice melodic intro over the piano stuff, ding, 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 sort of playing the tune and not playing the riff. And I think that's a bold move, bold not to play the riff, but I think absolutely right. And he's right to go. You can't go on an acoustic guitar and it have the same effect. So the best thing to do is don't do it, which is I think it's I love the kind of the sort of that shuffle feel. Lots of swing in the verses and the chorus. Cool piano. I love the piano playing. I think Chuck Leavell's done a fantastic job on here of doing lots of coloration on the things. Keeping it in keeping with what the song needs. Doing some really nice soloing stuff when it's needed. When you get your moment in the spotlight, there you go. Chuck, do your thing. So I think it's a beautiful swinging melodic solo, really nice, and a lovely a cappella singing at the end. When they finish it off. So for me, it's a 10. I think it's that it's a fantastic reworking of a fantastic song. And if you're going to give it the original 10, we all gave the original 10. I'm giving this a 10 because I think it's really bold. I think it makes it into something else, and I think it remains true to the song without without wrecking it in any way, shape, or form. So I'm hats off to him for doing that and recognizing that you want to do it. Clearly, it's one of your most famous songs, and I'm all for, I'm all for a bit of, crowd pleasing, do some old, and I think that he does it really well here, So I'm giving it a 10, and I would never skip it.
All right. Well, Layla for me, I always loved, and I, go back to the comment I said when a new Eric album came out at the time, I was like loaded in the thought of an acoustic album. But I really did enjoy, because I watched the performance. I've got this on videotape. This gig, not
yeah,
and I watched it on, and I loved it then because I watched it. I think there's more of this. You can relate more to it when you watch the footage of it. You can see where it's coming from. Very bold move to do a classic song like that in a completely different manner. And I call this the Dust and Bones version. It's very stripped back. It's the, it's just the meat and potatoes part of the song. And, very cheeky of him to sort of go, see if you can spot this one. And then as it comes in, people spot it almost immediately, and he's shocked that people, knew those first couple of chords that it was Layla. The vocals are really cruisy. Great guitar solo acoustically. It highlights that he's not just an electric blues player. He can play acoustic blues as well. I love the drumming and the bass. I've always loved Nathan East as a bass player, but Nathan's really quite unique on this record. BV's perfect. And even when the song's kind of finished, I love the little outro tag or lead bit that he does. The little trill.
Yeah.
Sort of,
yeah.
I could go on a long time about this one, but I won't. I'd just give it a 10 out of 10, and it's definitely not a skip.
It deservedly so. 10 out of 10. That arrangement was just amazing, wasn't it? I remember the first time I heard it, and it was like, holy cow! What a complete reworking of a classic song. Just amazing. It was an amazing listening to it back then. It was amazing listening to it over the years, and again a couple of times in preparation for the show. A smart move. When I was reflecting on this album over the last couple of days, it's interesting because from song 1 up until song 6, I classify that as part 1 of the album, and then you've got this song and the next one, which is part 2, and then you get into part 3, and I'll talk a little bit more about why I've divided this album up into 3 sections, because the next song, obviously, without talking too much about it, is another version of a song that Eric's done over the years. Not an easy song to play. Again, Eric Clapton as an acoustic guitar player is playing some interesting stuff. It's not easy. And, that waltz, beat, shuffle, whatever he's got going on, just suits his voice. 10 out of 10, and it's never a skip.
It does, doesn't it? It does that singing an octave down and taking it to to a more, not that kind of, very emotional kind of high singing that, gives it something. Gives it something completely different vibe. Gives a different feel to the song and stuff, which I think is really cool. So hats off to him for that. So the next track is "Running on Faith," which was on Journeyman. Written by a man called Jerry Lynn Williams, who I don't particularly know anything about much, but he's a rock and roll singer. So, Eric said that it was on Journeyman, so he knew the song was easily adaptable. It was an obvious choice, and it also a fairly well-known song, part of my usual stage repertoire at that particular time. So, clearly something, if he felt he could do it on an acoustic, then he would, would transpose really well. And he continues, I played dobro on it because I did on the record. So I don't play it on stage. So it was another opportunity to do something a bit different. And, this program gave him the opportunities to do things that he'd done at home but didn't do on stage. So, it's that's interesting. And I think that, we get into the song, the slide intro accompanied by Andy Fairweatherlow doing that intermeshing two guitars thing, which, he does really, really well. And can't say enough. Really nice melodic piano, strong singing, with backing, really nice backing. I noticed those shades of Knocking on Heaven's Door a couple of times in it as a kind of, I started singing, know me, I could always pick up a tune from another song and break into it. So I thought that was pretty cool. The backing vocals in the second verse, beautiful slide solo, on the dobro, and third verse, punctuating slide, and the love comes over you again, shades of Knocking on Heaven's Door bit when they sing that bit, and backing vocals and slide outro, really cool, and the snare in the middle, giving it a bit of smack to keep it going. So I'm giving this a 9 and never a skip. It's a great song, and he does a fantastic version of it. I don't particularly know the original. I didn't go into the original, so I don't know how different it is, but for me, absolutely, and I think it's the track "Running on Faith" is about, again, kind of quite a personal thing for Eric, isn't it? That must be, one of his, one of his central tenets at that time. Running on faith, kind of plugs into that, the disasters and the tragedies and things that have occurred to him. So, hats off to him for that too.
Well, Running on Faith for me is it's a great example of less is more. I love his electric versions of this, especially the live performance element that he does. I really like. He enjoyed the slide playing on this. It sort of brought like another element to the song for me. The vocal melody in this song always gives me goosebumps, and I feel that the lyrical content with that melody is just it's beautiful. It's really good. Has a bit of a sleazy vibe, like with the slide guitar. It gives it like a bit of a bluesy, sleazy vibe, which I enjoy. I mentioned, especially when the drums kick in, and it's got that feel, that section there.
Yeah.
I would keep saying this, but Eric, his voice is strong as ever in this one. His slide playing is great. He's probably not rated like very highly as a slide player, but it's good. He's obviously more of they call him slow hand with the bending and the string bends, and his slide playing is great too. Vocal after the solo, just where he really pushes, and really, aside from a lot of the blues artists of that era as well, I think like his vocals shine for me. And I know people that don't like it, don't understand that, and that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but his voice is underrated to me because he's got a really strong voice, especially for blues music. He's just outstanding. So I gave it a 10 out of 10. I'm waffling a bit. Song. And
I think just to pick up on that vocal thing. I think it's taken him a while to grow into it. I think he started off not a very confident singer, and I think some of it's about confidence. And I think he arrived here, and actually he's pretty confident about his voice now. About what he can do with it, and he understands it. And it's like, I'm Eric Clapton, I can sing, and hats off to him for that. I agree. So I think it's a confidence.
And I even noticed this in Guitar Man by Joe Bonamassa, and there's obviously I've seen it before where Clapton gets up with him at Royal Albert Hall, and then when Clapton does his vocal, it sounds amazing. He's practically walked on stage, strapped his guitar on, plugs into his tweed amp, and just starts playing. And then when he gets to his vocal line, he belts it out. It's like, wow, man, that's a voice. So yeah.
Well, apparently that's what he did at that. Joe Bonamassa said he turned up on his own with a Fender Blues Deluxe or whatever he had, and a guitar, on the stage. No people, just turned up in his car, with the gear. Yeah, plug that in. Right, got a guitar. I'm ready. Hats off to that. That's pretty cool,
Just seasoned professional, 10 out of 10, and never skip.
Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 for me too, Brad and Simon. It's never a skip. If Layla was on this version of the album remarkably different from Layla and other assorted love songs, this version of Running on Faith isn't that much different from Journeyman, which is a masterpiece of an album in my opinion. So it's no surprise in my opinion that Eric has included this song on the album. If he's been autobiographical, it's Eric Clapton down to a T. He's gone through 12-step programs, and if you're familiar with 12-step programs, there is no chemical solution to spiritual problems, and he's making that quite clear, isn't he? That he's running on faith. That's the message I get, and that's the message I think other people get, and all credit to him for that. Love the song. I can't add any more other than the slide is sublime. I have to agree with you, Brad and Simon. I think a slide playing is underrated. It's a wonderful piece of resonator playing. 10 out of 10, and it's never a skip.
No. I think that's a really good point, Andrew. Whatever faith means to you, that doesn't necessarily have to be a religious thing. It can be, faith in human nature, whatever, can it as well? So yeah, hats off to him for that. So track 9, Walking Blues, which is an old Sun House song. It was used as the opening song for the MTV Unplugged with Eric. So apparently featuring Eric on his own on dobro again. Although, Eric says about it, it's the first time our fans got to see and hear the song performed in this manner by Eric. We've done it. So he apparently is actually a hybrid song. So he said he borrowed the guitar parts from Muddy Waters' Feel Like Going Home and superimposed Robert Johnson's lyrics over the top of it, kind of thing. So taking it away from that. Which is interesting. He said it's sort of my simultaneous tribute to both of them. It's a piece I played since I was 14, but I only recently decided to start singing it, which is interesting, as a thing. So I think that it goes back to that, that sort of country blues stuff as well, doesn't it? That I like the fact he's just Eric on his own, singing and playing. Really cool, kind of. You've got to have some ebb and flow, haven't you? You can't all be full on band and stuff. And I like the fact that even on an acoustic record, where the changes can be a bit more subtle, that there's still the changes. There's still, I'll do one on my own, we'll do one with a band, etc., etc. So I think that's really cool. I think that it's a proper authentic blues slide, tapping foot again. I like the tapping foot, and. Starts off with the classic blues line, woke up this morning. So, you can never get better than that, can you? And I think he's in, again, I wrote down, he's in fine voice, really good. Enjoyed the vocals very much. I'm giving this a 9. I'd never skip it. I think it's, that it's not only really well done, he sings it really well. It's great song. It harks to a particular thing that he wants to pick up on, and it does it's got that that kind of thing. It's not like the track before and not like the track after. So it gives you a kind of chance to breathe and a kind of chance to and I think that I'm all for I like albums that have diversity on them. I think it's and I know the diversity is a bit more subtle on here, but it's still a diversity thing. You divert into just me and Dobro playing for a bit, and then we'll do something else, and I think that's pretty cool. So I'm a 9 out of 10, and never a skip.
You sort of touched on everything. It's like you read my notes, Simon.
I did.
I won't sort of go over all the same things. I love the slide and the foot tap. His vocal's fantastic. Great overall sort of traditional blues vibe. I gave it 8 out of 10, but never a skip.
No.
Okay, awesome. Hold on, guys. Hold on, because this is the part 2 of the new segment on the Sunday show. So, hold on. We'll premiere for the... Okay. And we never got copyright claimed for that. I've tested that, so that's okay. So that's under
too short. Well done.
That's under the time frame. And I wish I could
I thought
say
that was you
actually
playing it. I thought
okay. I have to make that quite clear, people. That's not me playing. That's the original guy who we're talking about. So look. A few years ago, I used to collect this magazine called Guitar Techniques, and I used to have a little segment in there about Eric Clapton and all this intertwining and all these relationships and all these things that Eric Clapton had. And because, Eric Clapton's a big part of this program, so this week in Clapton history. So this week in Clapton history, 1974, Eric Clapton goes into the studio to record an album that we probably won't do a skip and play, because most of the songs will get skipped and probably get rated 1s, 2s, maybe 3s. It's an album called There's One in Every Crowd. Now, if anybody's watching the show and disagrees with me or is watching the replay, please jump on and tell us why you think any of those songs should be plays. But, I look forward to this. I look forward to this because, it'll just be a short segment, just something to break up the show. So that's this week in Clapton's history. Simon and Brad. So I said that I think this album for me is in 3 parts. You've got the Connor part, which is song 1 up to song 6, and then from Layla and Running on Faith, you've got part 2, which is, covers of other songs that he's done. From song 9 up to song 14, it's all blues. It's all blues, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful segment of songs that we're going to talk about. Great for a guitar player. If you're a beginner guitar player and you're discovering Eric Clapton, play along to these songs and you'll be a good acoustic guitar player. It won't hurt. Easy to do. I love the song. The fact that he's doing it by himself. It's a 10 out of 10 for me, and it's never a skip.
Excellent. See, 10. Sorry, I'm just looking at something. So moving right along, we get to song 10, Alberta. This is a traditional song done by Huddy Ledbetter, of course. Apparently an old Snooks Eaglin song. With its humorous false start, Eric forgot to remove the glass slide from his little finger, which is nice. Whoa, hang on, not quite ready. Which is pretty cool. Again, like all of the cover songs in the set, this is another song that Eric had heard during his youth. He'd always wanted to do. He said it was accessible to me. This is interesting, I think. It was accessible to me as a beginning guitar player because it consists of 3 chords and just straight strumming. It just lodged in my head as a very sentimental song and part of my early influence, which links into my great theory of particularly Huddy Ledbetter and that kind of skiffle thing that was going on in England. This is definitely and that thing about having 3 chords that you could play and get a song, kind of thing. As it starts off, Eric playing a 12-string, which is great. This is one of my favourite songs on the album. I'm giving this a 10. It's got such a feel, such a swing to it. A great piano from Chuck Leavell, just the right tempo, beautiful. And Eric, of course, in fine voice, And I get the chills. I was driving down the road, just taking my daughter somewhere, and turf them out at the local bus stop. And on the way back, this comes on, and it's like I get a thrill. I get a thrill from this song. Just that, just that strum, it thrills me like I can't explain, but it just does. So I think there's a great piano solo in it. Cool bass playing from Nathan East. Just great for me, and I'm giving it a 10. And so not a skip.
Yes, right. I always like that funny loose vibe, like not removing the slide where it's like, hold on. I've always liked
That's always like that, isn't it?
Great strong vocal. The piano in this song, Chuck Leavell is a highlight for me, this one. It's got a real nice cruisy vibe. I gave it 8 out of 10. It's never a skip for me.
Yeah.
Only 8.
I love the. Yeah. I don't worry, Simon. Don't worry about Brad. I give it a 10. So yeah. Don't worry about Brad. Look, no, it's a 10. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I love it. And one of the reasons why I love it is I love all the versions that Eric Clapton has done over the years. And boy, there are some great examples of him singing this song smashed and drunk off his face, Yeah. There
Not
are
good.
No, well, no, good, but good. Completely. He's just singing, clearly that he's had 2 bottles of brandy. But the interaction that he has, the interaction that he has with the band, that's cool. It's great on DVD, on the videotape. It's just, it's awesome. Yeah. Big smile on his face when he's doing it. Clearly having fun. Clearly. And I suppose at the end of the day, guys, we've got to remember this. While this is a tribute as such to his son, and there are some songs about the tragedy of his son passing, it's about fun too, isn't it? And he's bringing that fun element back. So 10 out of 10, Simon. So we're in the 10 club. We're fine.
That's Sorry, Brad. See how mean we are. Disgraceful, Caron. We'll be speaking to ourselves afterwards.
I feel a bit singled out here.
So then we move on to one of my other favourites on there, San Francisco Bay Blues, performed like Jesse Fuller's original, and also done by Paul McCartney on his Unplugged as well. So I didn't know whether Eric decided, whether he already knew that. I'm sure he did, but decided to do it anyway. Again, another one of my real favourites on this. Get a real thrill from this track. I think that strumming 12 strings. We've got 2 12-string songs together. I think audience clapping along. It's got a great swing to it. Really great harmonica. I think Andy Fairweather does the harmonica and a kazoo. All songs made better with having a kazoo on them, if only for the humour part. But I think I really like the fact that you put a kazoo on it, because as you just said, Andrew, this bit is about fun. This is about, about having a bit of, just picking the tempo up a bit, having a bit of a fuller sound, bit more going on. And a kazoo is really nice in context of the thing. It's got a great melody for me. Really like the singing. Great barrel house piano from Chuck Leavell, and a funky kazoo ending. What could be, that at the end they do kind of fucking about, which I think is really cool. So I'm giving it a 10, and I never skip it.
I'm scared to give my ratings now because you're going to probably.
What you're gonna give it a 4 and skip every time?
You're going to get a gun out and shoot, Andrew.
No, God, no, it's fine. It's I don't mind.
But this got a bit of a folksy feel to it. The piano again is great. The kazoo, I thought that's brought a bit of a bit of light to the song. I think it's brought a bit of a fun vibe to the song.
Yeah.
Light, it's upbeat. It's a sing-along. The crowd's involved. I gave it 8 out of 10, and it's never a skip.
Yeah. I had to be careful because I didn't want to give too many 10s. So Simon, I've given this a 9. I'm glad that you mentioned the 12-string guitars too, because a keen eye will see clearly if you watch the DVD. He's changing guitars. He's going from nylons, to 6-string steels. Then he's going to a dobro. Then he's playing 12 strings. So he's got, and then you've got Andy on the mandolin that you mentioned earlier as well. So. Yeah. They're busy. They're busy guys. There's a little. It's a busy, well planned set, and top marks to them. But again, it's a song, Simon and Brad, that you can play with a ukulele. It's blues, isn't it? It's just blues, and it's just a good example of what you can do with a kazoo, a crowd. An English crowd clapping in time again.
We're suckers for a kazoo in the UK.
No pints to be seen.
No, stop the darts.
Yeah. Look, it could be a 10. It could be, but never a skip.
No, I mean for me, I give Alberta and this one are probably by a hair are my 2 favourite songs on this record. So that's why I'm giving them both 10s. But
cool.
Nitpicking, of course, but yeah, it is one of my favourites. So track 12 is Malted Milk, which is of course a Robert Johnson song. Could we go an entire album without Eric doing Robert Johnson? No, we couldn't. But you have to say it's quite an odd choice for song. But, he said it was a peculiar song and had a nice acoustic touch to it, which is why he did it. Which is the thing. I had a look about. I don't know if you guys did about what malted milk was, and apparently during Prohibition, when brewing and sale of alcohol was illegal, a lot of breweries folded because of lack of sales. Others stayed in business by brewing malted milk. The malted milk contains some alcohol, but was marketed for slumbering sleep for children. So it's like giving them a small shot of brandy. So if you were drunk and the police wanted to know where you got your booze from, you would say that it was just malted milk running all through my head. So So, which is a nice bit of background. I'm discovering stuff on these shows. It's really good. But, it's a little acoustic duo with Andy Fairweather-Low and playing along. Again, I like it because it's different. It's not the most. You could pick an obvious Robert Johnson song. It's a bit different. And I like the fact that after the last 2, it's just the 2 of them playing and stuff. So it gives it gives you that ebb and flow and that change in the in the vibe. I'd probably only give it 8, but I wouldn't skip it because I like. I'm old school. I like albums. I like to play an album from beginning to end, and I like the ebb and the flow and the change and even if those things are quite subtle, that as you said, play a mandolin here, play a dobro here, it's all acoustic stuff, but it gives them all slightly different vibes and feels, and I think that's important that you don't just do the same thing all the way through. So for me, an 8 and not a skip.
Malted Milk, I really enjoyed this. I know Robert Johnson was a really big influence for him. Great foot tapping, dual guitar playing. Great little solo. Vocals are really strong, but in theme of the song, like he's got that gruff bluesy voice going. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's definitely not a skip, but 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, 8 out of 10 for me too, guys. It's a great song. I'm glad that Simon mentioned the fact that it's Robert Johnson, one of his masters. Interesting song. Yeah, when you consider that a few years after this, he goes and does another complete whole album on Robert Johnson songs, and we'll get to that album. That's a masterpiece, so we'll be talking about that album next year. But look, if there's one thing I love about the song, Simon and Brad, it's the vocals. I think his vocals are exceptional on this song. I just thank you for allowing me to go back and renegotiate that. I remember buying this. I lost my DVD, plastic covered DVD that set that Simon has, and I bought this when they re-released it a couple of years ago with the DVD on it, and I listened to it for about 12 months because it was in my vehicle, and I went over it in the last week in preparation for the show. Just a lovely song, good to play along to if you're a guitar player, and it's never a skip. Thank you, Simon, for picking this album because it was probably one, if I'm honest, that I wouldn't have picked, but glad that it was, because when you said because it wouldn't have been an album that I would have gone to, So I'm glad we're doing it, but being a blues man. It's a blues album. So, yeah. Thank you.
No, it is interesting that. I love going back and, really digging into these albums and playing them. I, like you, haven't played this for a while. I can't remember the last time I played it, to dig it out and play it again and rediscover, the songs and rediscover why I love it and, what it's about a bit more. It's really good fun, actually. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it as well. But, and that goes for all the albums we've been doing. It goes for Physical Graffiti, and I listen to that regularly. But it's still nice to go back and dig it and think about it a bit more in a way that maybe you don't think about it when you're driving around in your car and singing along, shouting oddly. So that's really cool. So getting to the last couple of songs, 13 Old Love, which is a Eric Clapton and Robert Cray song. It's obviously newer guitar and piano intro, and then obviously this is like a much more full band thing. The band are in good emotional singing from Eric, and I think it's obviously the theme of this record is how well he's sung, how what good voice he's in. It's got a great rubbery bass and tinkly piano. I said it was quite sort of cocktail jazz kind of feel to the piano. Chuck Leavell playing a different kind of style to it. The strumming guitars. Kind of Spanish influence solo sort of thing going on, and a chance to stretch out. Again, I give it an 8 out of 10, and I wouldn't skip it. I like the fact that at the end bit it's a kind of 7 minutes long. They give a chance to just stretch out and into it, fairly relaxed style. Cool.
Oh, love! This is one of I've always loved this song. Live, I've just always loved it. The mood to the song is so. It's got so much space to the song, and I really enjoyed the way they did it on this. I was so used to the electric version of this song. His voice is really strong again. I keep saying that, but I really find his voice is really strong. It's a song about a flame that's still burning for an old love, and it's his lyrical content of the song. I mean, Lord, I can't get over old love. Leave me alone. I think we've all been there before, and we still sometimes feel a flame for an ex. But get rid of those feelings. And I really feel like in this song, they're really channeling that when they're playing this version of it, especially. The solo in this is the highlight of the CD for me. The piano solo is outstanding, and the bass again on Nathan East. It's a 10 out of 10. This is one of my favorite songs on the CD, and I would never.
Cool. You've been reading my notes, man. Oh.
like 8 or 7 or 8, whatever it was before that you guys graphed that. This is that one's an 8 in place of So.
Oh, look, I have to echo what you said, Brad. It's a 10 for me. It's one of the highlights of the album. I love this song. It's a song that's off Journeyman, and again, we've always said, guys, haven't we, that we were always going to be honest when we gave our evaluations and our rankings, and we were, going to be upfront, as the songwriters are, to a degree, about, why we like these songs and the connections we have. I just love the song. The electric version that Brad spoke about is just, it's epic, it's wonderful. And then you get this version, it's a masterpiece. Simon's I haven't mentioned Chuck at all, and I was going to, but Simon's mentioned Chuck's name half a dozen times, and Brad half a dozen times too. You just can't underestimate the power that this guy provides on this album. The Stones loved him, didn't they? He was one of the greatest keyboard players, and what he provides to this album is just phenomenal, and it shows on this song. It's never a skip, and it's certainly a song that I would play to somebody who had never heard of Eric Clapton. It'll be one of the songs I'd play.
Yeah. Yes, and I mean, it's interesting that Andy Fairweather Low, and I think Chuck Leavell, are the really knit this album and really really play with Eric in a fantastically integrated way. They understand what's needed, obviously great musicians and stuff, and are able to provide those things, that Andy Fairweather Low with the kind of guitar interplay, playing with Eric, giving it so you get a complete whole from the two halves, and Chuck doing great, the piano stuff and the harmonium and things, that he plays, just really punctuate the songs and give them the coloration that's really good. So I'm it's I'm all for the guys who play. I don't want to Nathan East is a great bass player. Steve Ferrone is a fantastic drummer, but I think they're less important on this album than Leavell and Fairweather Low for me. Sorry, guys.
No argument. No argument. I think Brad's mentioned Nathan East, and he's just sitting in the pocket doing what a bass player does, and if we had great Vanzini here in the chat, he'd probably say that, he was the star of the show, being the bass player, in the chat.
He'd be telling us off. Underestimating Nathan East.
but no disrespect to Nathan, because he is an awesome bass player, and he's been playing with Eric when he was, having glitter in his hair, when he had hair, back in the olden days. The
olden days, pre the wheel.
Back in the early,
Thank you very much. When I was a lad.
But it's Chuck and Andy, certainly. That I've got to use this Keith Richards thing. There's this weaving going on between the three of these guys. Yeah.
Do you think that's why Chuck Leavell fills in so well in the Rolling Stones?
Because
I
think
kind
so.
of understands that.
He's a keyboarder who's actually listening to the guitarists. Keyboarders tend to from
he plays with the Stones now, doesn't he? Chuck Leavell, he plays with them now, doesn't he? I think is he the Stones keyboard player of choice right now?
Didn't he pass away?
No, he's still alive. He's 68.
So,
Mere
yes,
spring chicken.
Yeah. Does he? Yeah, I think he
Hold on, have a
does.
look. Yeah, I think he does as well. I think he does. I'm just going to quickly let's have a look. The Strolling Bones. Here we are. God, he's gone from undercover to Steel Wheels Live. So it looks as though he is. Yeah, looks as though he plays with the Rolling Stones for getting on for
Sorry.
40 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
no
yeah.
worries.
I for a second there, I got him mixed up with the other guy that played with him in '75. And it's not, but I didn't get them confused. But I know who Chuck Lavelle is. But yeah, certainly got a vibe going on. Love the song.
Yeah. So, song 40, the last song on the track is of course, a song by another of Eric's heroes, Muddy Waters, Rolling and Tumbling, and fading in halfway through somewhere, first verse or something, like Keys to the Highway on Layla, reminded me of that. They faded in, didn't they? They started playing, and then quick, put the faders up. Another one of those moments, and I love this. I think this is really good. This is Eric, having a bit of fun, so some rollicking. I've written the word rollicking down. I don't know why, but audience clapping along, great vocals and stuff, really giving it some vocal bodies. And in this occasion, drums front and center, driving it on, and really great hypnotic ending, galloping drums, and in a sense, kind of getting closest to that kind of electric blues thing without the electric, but by having the full band going at it and stuff, and it sounded like they just sort of started playing it between takes, kind of thing, and that's why they jammed up the faders halfway through. Quick, did you? And because he says at the end, doesn't he? Did you get that? obviously felt it was good, which is cool. Having just broken into it, and musicians good enough to keep on it, keep going with it. I don't know whether they practiced it or not, but this is a 9 for me. I love it. It's a great rollicking sort of ender to the album. One of my favourites for sure. And never a skip.
For me, it's it does sound like a jam. And what I read about it was, I'm not sure they rehearsed this one. Just Eric started playing and they just jumped in.
Yeah.
Goes to show, they get a little bit lost, but they're professional enough to pull it together in the sections where they kind of think, I think it's coming around, now, and they drop into the track. Here, there's like a slight bit of anxiety there from them all on the edge of their seat, ready to come off, So I enjoyed that, and it's a fun song. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's definitely not a skip. But, I thought that it was a good, fun song and a great way to end the CD set. It's just like that great way to end it. It's a pity they didn't get it from the start. But, yeah.
Yeah, it is a pity. I just want to echo what you said, Brad. It's a fun song, and we mentioned it earlier. The album, besides what it is, they turned it into a fun album, and you see some smiles on the crowd in the audience. They're witnessing something. They know that they're watching something in rock and roll history. And, it goes on to sell 24 million copies and how many Grammys, and he gets slammed for that. It's interesting. Isn't it interesting how success, and it was an album that he didn't really want to do. If you're a Clapton nut, you probably already know that. It's not something that he ran into the record companies and said, release this or else, it was them that was saying it to him, wasn't it? And in his biography, he kind of thinks, I don't want to really kind of, do this, but, has the courage. Again, I take my hat off to these English blues artists. They started off playing the stuff early in their lives, and, Clapton's getting on a little bit, and he's still has the love for the blues, still wants to sort of kind of keep it personal, keep it to himself, not really interested in the fame, but clearly is a famous musician inspiring generations now of people. Fun song, awesome album, Simon. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk about it for 2 hours, because I watched the DVD too last night in between getting a couple of phone calls and having a couple of chats. I managed to watch the DVD, and I think that's, for me, guys, the icing on the cake.
It's an enhancement, the video, isn't it? Seeing them playing it is definitely gives it some more. I too, I don't think I watched it all. I watched quite a lot of some of the songs on YouTube, because they're chopped up and stuff. Annoyingly, the quality's not that great on YouTube of the seem to be videos. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but it's certainly an enhancement. But yeah, as I say, I've really enjoyed going back and looking at this album, because I feel like it's it's not something I've played for a long time. I can't remember the last time I played it, and to go back and dig into it has been really good fun, and to find out what I think is a really good album. Really good. Top quality, and signposts. Eric, going forward, as we said, as you said, Andrew, from the cradle. Signposting going forward into taking that on a bit, which is really good.
And if that lurker is watching, it clearly isn't what
Clearly
he
not
classified in our rather fraught conversation about the album. It's not
30 years
elevator
ago.
music. It's not elevator
Is that what
music.
he said? Is that what he said? Did he say elevator music? Did he?
Elevator music.
Maybe
I don't
have
think
a hard
I-
job
you know.
getting back on here. Mr.
Yeah, I
Smith,
reckon.
After that, yeah.
Elevator music.
Elevator, honestly.
I'm glad we
Speak
don't
to
have a
that boy.
swearing policy on this show.
We do. We're not swearing. And he's not here to... We can't cuss him too much. He's not here to defend himself either. Otherwise, we could razz him a lot more, couldn't we?
Look,
Anyway,
I can
so that
understand.
was really good.
I can understand why some Clapton fans mightn't like this. Just like, some Clapton fans think that Eric Clapton stopped being significant in 1968. If you've got that view, I don't agree with you. And come on the show, and Simon and I and Brad will beat you up. With
Oh, Sonia. Hi,
conversation.
Sonia.
With conversation, of course.
Of
We don't
course, yes,
condone
yeah,
violence.
Yeah. But in this case, we can make an exception. Yeah.
No, it's a great album. It's a great album, Simon. And one of the great things that I love about doing this show with you guys is it gives us an opportunity to go back and listen to these albums. And again, the support we get in the chat, the comments we get after the shows when they air, by people. People have I don't know if you guys go back and check I obviously get an alert that comes through with the comments, so I'm up to play with the comments. So a lot of people are thankful too of the insight and the opinions that we offer as fans, because that's all we are at the end of the day. We're just three guys hanging out talking music with other people. Brad, have you got an album for us to discuss next Sunday on the
What's
Sunday
our
show?
homework?
Okay.
Oh, he's rubbing it. Here, look,
He's rubbing his hands together with glee.
Oh,
Yes,
look
I'm
at
gonna get
this,
them
eh?
now. The old bastards are going to get it now.
Hey, okay, so I want you guys all to rub your hands together like this, because I'm going to find this is going to be the thumbnail.
That's how you
And
get the flame. Rub your hands
I'm
together.
gonna put flames that'll-
The static electricity.
Hey, Sonia. All right, okay.
Dear.
So I'm really glad I get the choice now. And I want to do Still Got the Blues, Gary Moore.
Oh, wow.
Still got the blues, Gary Moore. Cool.
Now that's around this time. That's about 91, 92, isn't it? You know, man, there's some good albums being dropped around that period.
This
Well,
one
interesting, isn't it?
is a very pivotal record for me as a guitar player. So I want to do this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
setting it up, so we've got to be careful with it.
So you'll do the intro, you'll kick off, then Simon, then me, and then Simon will, and then we'll discuss that. Now, keep tuned for some channel updates. We've got the Van Halen show on Saturday, next Saturday. We've got the Sunday show, and we may be doing a show on Friday. Brad's got a friend called Dropkick Blues who is a Stevie Ray Vaughan nut. So if you guys want to join us, we'll give you some updates when that time is finalised. But so we're going to be busy next week, and we'll let you guys know what's going to be happening with the channel during the 2 weeks of January. But I'm going to be around till January the 4th anyway, so we can still do some shows and stuff like that. I think we've got a couple of weeks until then, so as far as I'm concerned, guys, it's business as usual.
What day is I can't remember what day. It's Christmas Day or Sunday? Let's have a look. 25th is a Friday. Christmas Day, Friday.
Awesome.
So we could do Sunday. That would be fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm
around
in my house.
Yeah. But we do appreciate the support, from Sonia, Ellen, Arvin. You guys are fantastic. If you guys weren't at the top of the show, Simon and I and Brad were talking about how we got 164 subscribers on the channel during this year, and the last couple of months 30 odd, and it's all because of you guys playing and sharing the shows. That's how it works on YouTube. It's about views as well, and that's what inspires the algorithms as well. So if you can do us a favor and share our channel, share Brad's website on social media, that would be good. We just, we'd like to get that support. We would love to have a big party when we get 1,000 subscribers, but we'll just do it our way.
And my YouTube channel too, which is out there. You'll find it on my website.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Simon,
cool.
Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to discuss this album.
That was good, yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So Gary Moore, still got the blues. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Back on that. we should thank people in the chat. So thank Brad Cook. Who else? We've got Adam Cross. Jesus Rapes Me. Thanks, guys. Ken Cook. Thank you very much, Ken, for joining. Arvin and Ellen Borisheim. Thanks, Ellen, for dropping by. Terry, 3Gs. Terry, nice to see you, man. And what else we got? Guitar Hack. He dropped by. Quentin James. And Nelson, of course. Nelson Rodriguez. Thanks, Nelson. Vintage Sounds. So yeah, good crowd in today. No Kubrick lover and no Great Vanzini. So take their names. We'll be writing to them later. Notes from their mothers.
We'll do a shout out to them because they do watch the shows on the replays. So that's at least 2 people that we know that regularly watch our replays to the end. And how do I know that? Because they test me by their comments. So they talk about a couple of things that we talk about at the end. Yeah, so cool. They're very clever YouTubers. But before we play the outro video, I just have to play the second time on the channel. You just got to love this, don't you? Hold on, just watch this. This is great.
Now it's time for Brad's Tech and Tone Tips.
Oh, God.
Fran, I'm sorry. Look, you see, you do something else. So what happens? Oh, no.
That's one. When he gets through, he's going to explode me. Like it's going to be.
Next one is you going.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to say goodbye. If you guys want to say goodbye.
Thank you very much. Take care. See you next week. Have a good week, guys. Stay safe and well, everybody. Sonia and everyone in the chat. Yeah.